You would think a free and easy Mac Jones would maybe translate to more wins, but a lot has happened since the Patriots over-under win total was released in the offseason. Injuries, arrests, major O-line questions on the negative front. On the positive fronts, Patriots running an actual professional offense under Bill O'Brien. Through all of that, the Patriots over-under win total, guys, remains at 7.5. Amina, do you feel more positive or negative about this Patriots team? Because I've sort of fluctuated. There was a point midway through the preseason where it was like, I'm all in. I think they could get 9 wins. And now I'm back to I don't know. They might just get 7 or 8.
I'm cautiously positive about this Patriots team. Initially, I thought that they would be around 7, 8 wins. I think maybe this might be a 9, dare I say maybe 10-win team. Again, if we go back to talking about if the O-line can be healthy, if the cornerbacks, if they actually are able to go out there on the field and perform to their full ability, then I think that this team will perform better than they did last year. But we got to think back to last season. It was a complete dumpster fire on offense. I mean, you had those guys trying to figure out what to do with the offense, what to do with Mac Jones. And right now that you have Bill O'Brien in the position of being an actual offensive coordinator, I feel like the players, they trust the coaches in a sense where, okay, now the rightful people are in their respective positions. We can go out in there and do our jobs to our best ability.
Guys, I think the reason that the line hasn't moved, I think there were very little expectations about the Patriots going into the season. And then you see them in action and you say, okay, there is Phil, an actual real offensive coordinator there. Their defense looks pretty good. But you do have all these question marks, which is why it hasn't moved at all. And I think why there's so much skepticism as what this team can really be.
Yeah, I think that's fair. My personal opinion, the over-under for me, whatever I would have set it at, I probably would have put it at 8.5. I had them at 9 wins weeks ago before training camp started. I still feel like they're probably, in part because they play a really difficult schedule, at least what looks like a difficult schedule, I still have them as essentially a 9-win team. The one issue that might drop that number for me, Bert, honestly, is the offensive line. It's worse than I thought it would be because some of these injuries have been unanticipated, and being able to put that thing together and make it look good, it looks like they're a little ways from that right now.
All right, but before we get your take on what the Patriots could be this year, you last month had your 4 most important positions in football. You have quarterback, offensive tackle, edge rusher, and cornerback. Patriots have concerns at 3 of those positions. So how you feeling about them?
I mean, I still feel like the same way about them. I thought they were a middle of the pack AFC team. Really difficult conference, obviously. The division's a lot better. And I think that they're a middle of the pack AFC team now. And as for the swing factors, I would say they're right there. Like, if Christian Gonzalez can become a number 1 corner, well, then I think they're in business on defense, because then I think they've got a chance to be one of the best defenses in the NFL with what they've got on the edge. So corner is a swing factor. Offensive tackle, I think, is a huge swing factor for what they are on offense, because to me the formula for them is their ability to run the ball and play defense, and how good you are at tackle, I think, is going to dictate how well you run the ball too. And then, of course, quarterback, it goes without saying, how well Mac plays is going to be a huge factor in which way it goes. So I think that, like, you look at those positions and huge swing factors, I think you have reason to be optimistic at corner with what you've seen with Gonzalez. I think you have reason to be pessimistic at tackle based on what you've seen over the course of the summer.
Yeah, Phil, you said in the A block, in the first block of the show, that you don't need a great offensive tackle. You just need an average one. Do the Patriots have average tackles on their roster?
Well, when Trent Brown is going right, he's above average. To me, he could be really good. And he's in a contract year, and so maybe that motivation is there for him. The question is on the other side. It's at right tackle. And again, if you have the interior all squared away in terms of those guys and their health, you're fine there too. And I do think you could get away with one question mark on the offensive line. You can coach around that in some ways. And the reason why I would, if it were me, my perfect offensive line, quote unquote perfect, but the ideal offensive line for me to start the season would be to have Sidy Sow at right tackle, because I know what Riley Reif is. I know what Connor McDermott is if he's on the team. Sidy Sow, to me, has looked okay in spurts. And because he's young, maybe he can grow into being average by the time his rookie season.
One thing you should add too, like, this wasn't like a in case of emergency break glass type of situation with Sidy Sow. They actually did see him potentially as a solution at tackle when they drafted him, even though that's not what he played his last few years in college.